Hi, my name is Ken Schwartz of Precise Sharpening, and today I'm going to demonstrate another one of the Nubatama stones. This is in the bamboo series. So this is Nubatama in the bamboo series, and it's an 800 grit stone. So what I'm going to do is to also use a couple of unusual little knives, or big knives. This one I think the straight razor guys might like if you take a look at the profile on it. It's called a fish chopper, and it's used primarily for cutting fish heads, and also works as a fillet knife. And this wide spine is used to press down to exert an additional amount of force during the cut. It also has a hollow handle and can be put on a rod to extend the reach of the knife. So we're going to demonstrate sharpening that. It's somewhat dull, not terribly so, but somewhat dull. And so I think that this 800 grit stone should work rather nicely with it. This other knife is a noodle knife. It's a Chinese noodle knife, unlike the soba knives that you have. And as you can see, it's rather long. And so the function of this is to cut noodles, obviously. And I use it a lot for making pasta. It works very nicely for wide pasta or lasagna slices from rolled out pasta dough. So here we go. We'll start in. I might get a chance to do a couple other knives as well, depending on how things go. This knife was done by a somewhat incompetent sharpener in Pennsylvania who ruined the shinogi line. But the knife still is useful, not for its original function, since there's no way to repair the shinogi line, but I can still put an edge on it, and it still suffers from a lot of convexing and rounding here. Not quite a hamaguri grind, just a sort of sloppy grind, but we'll see what we can do with it. And so here we go. I think the first thing we'll do is take a look at it. Just in looking at it compared to some of the other greenish looking stones, it appears to look a little more dense, so perhaps it'll be a little less porous, but let's check this out. So here we go, and we'll put a little spray on, and it goes in a little slower, still somewhat porous. We'll see if this quite fits the splash and go category, so we're going to run a little water on it. No, still absorbs fairly quickly. All right, so we'll let it run for a minute or so and kind of go from there. Now, oddly enough, this particular fish chopper, if you're a straight razor person, you would think that you would touch it here and on the spine, but it turns out that that actually grinds it right over there. So what we need to do is to hold it up above the spine slightly to get it in here. This would be somewhat the equivalent of taping a razor. So let's see how we're doing here. Okay, it seems to be holding itself water-wise. So let's give this a shot. So, right, ooh, very smooth. Very smooth. Okay, so we'll go at about this angle. It appears to be pretty much already saturated. So yeah, this surprisingly is a short little splash, and then off we go. So these knives are CCK knives. They come from Hong Kong. I picked them up on a trip to Hong Kong. All right, so taking a quick look, we can already see that it's already producing an edge. The knife is somewhat unevenly ground, so we'll have to sort of adapt to it to improve the edge. Okay, I see not a lot of mud coming off the stone. I'm pressing moderately hard, very fine grit. You can see the mud on here is very fine. 4 and 800 grit stone. Very smooth. It is cutting metal, so you do see that in the swarf. This is getting a good bit sharper already. So, well, and I actually have a little bit of burr in spots, mostly here, a little bit there. So I'm going to flip it over, remove some of that burr, and we'll work the other side just a bit. Culturally, it's sort of interesting to note that this does work. I've used it on trout, for instance, to fillet a trout. So that's completely opposite the sort of knife design that you see with American knives using fish fillet knives. And it's also very different than the deburr type knife that you see in a Japanese style of cooking or knife design. So again, I'm off the spine because I want a little bit more obtuse angle than the spine, and if I just lay it right on the spine, it doesn't actually hit the edge. Very slow mud formation. It's somewhat surprisingly hard. I'm finding this a very attractive stone. All right, let's see. Okay, we'll do a little more on the other side. You can see that again. Very, very fine mud. I think this one is giving the 1000 grit ume a very good run for the money. Also another excellent stone. Cutting rate is good. Yes, very nice edge. Okay, I like this quite a bit. So let's go on and work over the noodle knife a bit. Just as a quick test here. Alright, little rolled up ball. Let's see if we still have a toothy edge. Yes. Okay, very clean cutting. Yeah, surprisingly nice. Alright, let's go on to the noodle knife. Alright, the noodle knife is not extremely dull, it's just dulled from usage. A bit too much pasta, but somewhat dull. And this is, I think this should work well, just as a sort of touch-up for the edge. We'll go at a somewhat, I'd say that's probably about a 15-degree angle. Not going to go overly acute. The CCKs are somewhat softer steel, so a really acute edge doesn't quite hold. And of course I'm doing it sectionally right now, but you know, even on a long knife, you know, you can do a sweep over the length of the stone, both edge leading and trailing. And you can go in the other direction too, so you can certainly go in this direction as well. And if you look, you'll see a sort of X scratch pattern. Again, this is something that razor folks do a lot when they're honing razors. And that's already touched up the edge. I've already generated a certain amount of burr on the back of it. So we should be getting things done in fairly short order on this. So far my impressions on this 800 grit stone is that it acts like a fast 1000. Very slow dishing. Very nice stone. I was expecting good, but I'm pleasantly surprised that I'm getting what I would consider exceptional. You know, again, it saturates fairly quickly. So I can just give it a spray rather than soaking it anymore. Continues to not build up much mud. Very fine grit. It's a little harder than I was expecting as well. Yeah, very nice. I think I found the coarse stone that I really enjoy here. Okay, let's see how this does on a sheet of paper. Very nice. Very nice. We do have a winner here. Let's see what we can do with this messed up Kawamuki paring knife. Again, it's very frustrating to have seen somebody do this to a good knife, but you live and learn. Alright, so we'll do a little with the back, and then we'll try and work our way around this as best we can. Again, this is just now sort of a scrap knife, but I do have to come up on it because of the rounding off. This damage was done on a buffer by somebody trying to learn how to use an Edge Pro who just had no skill with it. So here we go. I'm coming up just a little bit off of what's left of the single bevel. And doing this primarily just to see how this works on a white steel as opposed to the CCK steel, which is a softer steel. This unfortunately rounds off the edge a little bit, but the one thing I can't do is put steel back on a knife. I would rate this stone very close to just splash and go. Again, took almost no time to saturate the stone. Let's see what we've done with this. Okay, so primarily we're getting this area right in here, from here to here, and not going quite up to what used to be the shinogi line. Yeah, you do have to be careful about some of the knife sharpeners out there. I won't mention names. Try and get it up a little closer to where the shinogi line used to be. We're developing a slight bit of mud here to work with. Okay, cuts that well. Push cuts, slices. Very good edge, short amount of time. Really like this stone quite a bit. Anyhow, thank you very much for your time. It's available over at Chef Knives to Go. Again, this is the Nubatama Bamboo 800 grit stone. Thank you very much.